Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Yitz. I am a narcissistic abuse life coach. I'm going to be discussing narcissism throughout history. Because humanity, for the most part, have been operating out of the ego, out of the mind, narcissism and duality and divisiveness, you versus me, have been thriving. Because humanity has been operating in this way, narcissistic abusers have a leg up when it comes to being a leader and being successful. I think we would agree that there's something profoundly wrong with this planet, and a consciousness of selfishness and narcissism is rampant. As a result, the planet is literally breaking down. My opinion is that the coronavirus is actually a physical manifestation of the spiritual and psychological state of this planet and the way narcissism has impacted it. In an ego-based existence, winning is all that matters. Because if you're not winning, you are losing, and therefore, narcissism has thrived. Those who have lacked empathy and compassion are seen as the winners because ultimately they are successful. They are the ones who, quote-unquote, win. And having compassion and empathy and looking for interconnection is seen face value as the losing method. All human atrocities could be traced back to narcissism. Narcissism, as I see it, is spiritual and psychological immaturity and the lack of awareness, spiritually speaking. All leadership throughout history that turned narcissistic did so with the calculations that by exploiting others and manipulating the masses, you are able to ultimately gain. But this was not the case. It eventually broke down. Narcissism is profoundly unsustainable. Those who are the followers end up being slaves, where they rebel and throw over the leadership, or they get crushed, this ultimately leading to a breakdown of the very system. When you look back in history, you see leaders like Nelson Mandela, Margaret Thatcher, George Washington, Mahatma Gandhi. They were all trying to lead from a place of compassion and empathy. However, they were never able to crack the core of narcissism. Eventually, narcissism reared its ugly head and society broke down yet again. I'm going to go through some leaders, recent leaders, who have led their countries and ultimately aimed to control the world with narcissism, yet leading to breakdowns. Now, you can label these people narcissists, you can label them psychopaths, sociopaths, megalomaniacs, etc. However, the main point is that they lacked empathy and compassion, and they were driven by a drive to control and for power. Now, you can label these people narcissists, you can label them psychopaths, sociopaths, megalomaniacs, etc. However, the main point is that they lacked empathy and compassion, and they were driven by a drive to control and for power. The first is Fidel Castro, who led his people of Cuba from 1976 to 2008. He was notorious for taking away basic civil rights and terrorizing the people that he ruled. Adolf Hitler, obviously, leader of the Nazi Party and Chancellor of Germany from 1933 to 1945, he was responsible for the killing of 11 million people. Joseph Stalin, Georgian dictator, and was the leader of the Soviet Union from the mid-20s until his death in 1953. He was known for the killings of many millions of different people. Kim Jong-il, he was the supreme leader of North Korea from 1994 to 2011. He's been leading a tyranny that has been terrorizing his own people with famine, torture, and obviously terrifying the world with the threat of a nuclear war. Muammar Gaddafi, who ruled the people of Libya from 1969 to 2010, he was considered one of the most brutal and totalitarian eras in the North African history. Now, these are just a few of the recent leaders in history. There are many more throughout history that have aimed to use the same playbook of narcissistic abuse and brute force. Because covert narcissism is subtle, it's insidious, and it's very difficult to track down the abuser, those who lead the world nowadays and those who control the masses are doing so in the shadows, behind closed doors, behind the scenes. That's why it's very difficult to identify who it is, who the narcissistic abusers are manipulating this planet and destroying it at its core. If humanity is going to wake up and heal, if this planet's going to wake up to what narcissism is and how it's affected the planet, it's going to happen individually. Each person's going to have to take responsibility for themselves, and individually we can heal, creating a masses that is healthy. Now, this is very difficult when it comes to leadership because most leadership has lost its trust, and therefore we are going to have to govern from within. We each need to go on a spiritual journey and become spiritually aware of our own shortcomings, heal our spiritual and psychological wounds, and become healthy individuals independently from one another. The days of single leadership are dwindling, and people are losing trust in leadership. Therefore, you are watching people nowadays refusing to be governed and ultimately complete mayhem and chaos because of that. There's a huge shift going on the planet. People are going to start waking up to the fact that they have been giving their power away to corrupting leadership for so long. And this is a process of taking back power and using that power to self-actualize and live out of soul as opposed to ego, where everyone is aligned and authentic, connected to source. And when this is the case, you'll have people who are healthy individuals, which ultimately, in order to have healthy interconnection, you have to have independence within each individual being connected to source. When we live out of soul, we tap in individually to a source, an energy source of healthy, loving energy that is a healing energy. So when everybody taps in and allows that light to flow through them into the planet, that creates the synergy and the interconnection that we all crave as human beings. If you are trying to recover from narcissistic abuse, I work with a very specific therapy system called Mind Map Therapy. I will leave a link below in the description section. Feel free to check it out. It's designed to help you identify your wounds and help you become a healthier, more aligned and authentic version of yourself. Connect you to source so you could be the healthiest version of yourself. And because of that, you'll then be able to connect to others in a healthy, most authentic and non-exploitative way. I'm also going to leave my contact information below. Please feel free to reach out with any questions you have. If you would like a free 15-minute consultation, please do reach out. I'd love to chat with you and identify how I can help you on your healing journey from narcissistic abuse. I want to thank you so much for listening to this video. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please do so for future content updates. Feel free to like and share this video if you found it beneficial. And until next time, all the best.